Hello everyone and welcome back to another Warframe video. Today I just want to talk about yet another solid build that you can use for Nekros after the Dante Unbound update. I won't say that this is the best solo farming build for Nekros right now, because in my opinion the best build for Nekros depends on the player who is using it. Some prefer to go on long endurance runs and they go with tanky variant of the Warframe. Others prefer efficiency and farming, and I will try to discuss all these builds in this video. The most recent build I have for Nekros was a nourish setup that grants effectiveness in the energy and health converted by the equilibrium mod. This makes sure that I always have the energy to maintain Desecrate without using Nekros despoil ability. Because of this, I have the option to make my Nekros more tanky with the Shield of Shadow augment. With all shadows active, you will gain a 90% damage reduction from an enemy attack. Then, that specific damage type gets reduced by adaptation depending on how much you have on that certain damage type. Finally, it will further be reduced with your armor paired with the health conversion mod that adds 1,350 armor to Nekros, resulting in an 83% damage reduction. The only mistake I made in this build was to add Molt Augmented to further increase the effectiveness of the Nourish energy multiplier. Even with the recent nerf to the energy multiplier of the Helmet variant of Nourish, this build for Nekros still can maintain Desecrate without using the Despoil augment. Basically, this arcane slot is free, and you can further improve the tankiness of the Warframe by adding an Arcane Guardian in the build. If you do this, then your damage reduction by way of armor will go up to almost 90% when you add the Uneru Focus with its 200 plus armor. That's an already exceptional damage reduction for the Warframe, and you can tank most endurance runs with this build. The only problem though is the range limitation. The Shield of Shadows gives you 50-meter range, which is decent enough to keep that 90% damage reduction while the ability is active, unless you are moving from one rune to another though, and this will require you more range in your build. In addition, the farming efficiency of the build is kind of lackluster, as the Desecrate ability only has a 25-meter radius, and then I messed up the whole build by adding radiation proc in my Sentinel, which is a stupid mistake. You don't want to have radiation with only 25 meters range in your Desecrate, as you would want the enemy constantly targeting you. If you proc radiation to an enemy, then there's a high chance that its allies will focus on that target until they are killed. You don't want that to happen, as that would make farming inefficient with this loot farming Warframe, and like it or not, the main reason why players are using the Warframe is to get more resources in the game. In most cases, tanking build for this Warframe is used in Kuva survival missions wherein you would like to stay on the mission for a long period. His fourth ability doesn't just give damage reduction, but it also serves as a distraction to enemies so they won't focus on the Kuva reactor. However, I don't know if there are still a lot of players using the Kuva survival as their main source for getting Kuva in Warframe. Now, the recent update gives another form of tankiness to the Warframe with the reworked version of Eclipse. Right now you can replace Nourish with Eclipse and get that 75% damage reduction from the ability, making the Warframe close to unkillable if all his shadows are present, while you get the full damage reduction buff from Eclipse, adaptation, and the health conversion mods. However, the build loses the efficiency to maintain Desecrate, and that is why I added more energy with the help of 2 Tau forged versions of Blue Archon Shards, and I'm planning to add one more on this build. For those returning players, you might wonder why I'm using a gun with Nekros when a slash-based melee weapon is the most effective way to bisect body parts and get more loot from Desecrate. Well, a mod called Amalgam Ripka's True Steel happened, and this gives Gore Chance. This Gore Chance does dismember bodies, and it works with Desecrate. So basically, killing enemies with any weapons can now dismember them as long as you are using the Ripka's melee weapon with its Amalgam mod. Learning from my mistake and removing radiation in my setup, Eclipse Nekros proves to be the tougher version of a tanking build for the Warframe. You will fully enjoy the benefit of high damage reduction from Nekros, while allowing yourself to farm more resources in the process. However, if you want to be more efficient at farming, then I have another variation for this build. Since I can subsume a 75% damage reduction ability in this Warframe right now, I don't need to rely on Shield of Shadows. Adaptation and Eclipse will do well for survivability, as the damage reduction does work with both health and shields. Also, remember that the shield now has a 50% damage reduction against all damage types except for Toxin. With Eclipse and adaptation, my Nekros becomes a good shield tanking Warframe, and this helps me remove all the unnecessary power strength in the build and replace it with my favorite range mod setup. Also, I can remove the Shield of Shadow augment and replace it with Despoil, so I won't have to add Tau forged Blue Archon Shard in my build. Then I will just use Arcane Pulse for that insane health restoration per health pickup that also applies to allies. This means that I am not only a solo farming Warframe, but a team player that can provide constant health and loot to other players. With 43 meters range on my Desecrate, I can freely move in a wide area without the worry of not desecrating bodies and getting more loot. Some people always argue with me that I can just recast Shield of Shadows whenever I want to the location I moved in, but the problem though is that it also consumes corpses that supposedly should be desecrated and give me more loot. I am not saying that Shield of Shadows build is bad, but I like my Nekros to be an efficient farming Warframe, hence I always find ways to make the Warframe tanky without relying on the augment. Because of the damage reduction of adaptation and Eclipse, paired with the increased health values that Arcane Blessing gives, and the reliable 500 health restore that Arcane Pulse offers, I can now maintain my Despoil Nekros farming setup without worrying that I'll get one-shotted by Steel Path enemies, or I will lose health because of Despoil. As I have said, the best Nekros build differs on how you want to play the Warframe, and this video has given you a couple of options on how how to create your build for your farming Nekros setup, so that's all about it. I hope that you have learned something new again from our videos. Before you try one of the builds we have shown you, we would humbly ask for your support by subscribing to our channel and hitting that notification bell. Also, please do like and share this video to help us stay relevant on YouTube. The rest of the video is a simple showcase of the last farming build I have shown you against Steel Path level. Thank you so much for your support, and we hope to see you again in our next video. Squad Leader, signing off.
I'll never